Hey guys, it's Simeon. This is Pro Wrestling Unlimited as we are here on the 9th of December 2020 to talk about everything that went down tonight on AEW Dynamite and NXT on the USA Network. Honestly, if I'm being completely, I guess you could say, genuine in my thought right now, I thought both shows were just alright. I literally didn't think one was that much better than the other. I fixed my microphone here. There we go. I didn't think one was much better than the other, and I thought both were just alright shows. I wasn't blown away by either one, and if I'm gonna be completely honest, I was a little let down by AEW. I'm gonna say it right now. I'm really gonna say that. But with that, I want to say thank you for joining me here, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited. I also want to say thank you for joining us on YouTube, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember, if you are here with us on Twitch, we're still raising money for families in need that have been displaced by the Creek Fire here in Central California. Remember, anything that we make here on Twitch does go back to that, whether that is a donation that you can link to in the description below, a Twitch bit donation, or a subscription. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription here on Twitch, or if you have Amazon Prime, that means you have Prime Gaming. And with Prime Gaming, that gives you one free subscription to any Twitch channel that you want to subscribe to throughout the entire month, and it doesn't cost you anything extra if you're already paying for Amazon Prime. So again, we would greatly appreciate it if you helped us out there, as we're trying to raise money to help families in need, especially as we get closer to Christmas and those families with children that may not be getting anything outside of getting help, to be honest. But with that also, don't forget that if you're here live, you can be part of the show. You can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. Again, that number is 510-906-1341. The number is in both live chats and is right there scrolling on the screen as well. You'll see it periodically throughout the night, but let's kick everything off with talking about AEW Dynamite. So AEW Dynamite immediately kicks off with Young Bucks versus the Hybrid 2. I mean, they don't even try to recap what happened last week. No. It's just immediately, boom, match. And the match was fun. So it was a great tag team match where the Bucks isolated Jack Evans on their side of the ring early and controlled the stereo dropkicks. And Helico tagged in and was met with an arm drag from Nick Jackson. Matt tagged in and the Bucks hit the head scissor dropkick combo. TH2 sent Nick to the outside, and Evans landed a step-up dive. They followed this up with an assisted back suplex and an assisted standing 450 for a 2 on Matt Jackson. Where was I? I looked at a burp and lost my spot. TH2 kept control with some signature spots here, including a slingshot X Factor for a 2. Bucks powerbombed Evans onto the Acclaimed, who were at ringside, and Matt landed a frog splash onto Angelico for a 2. TH2 would gain control with some combination offense. This concluded with a springboard 450 from Evans for a near fall. Matt escaped a buckle bomb attempt, and Angelico ran into a enziguri from Nick. The Bucks then hit a doomsday device on Evans on the ramp, followed by stereo super kicks to Angelico for a close near fall. The Bucks set it for a Meltzer driver, but Evans broke it up. Evans went for a Fosbury flop, but the Bucks caught him. They killed him with a Meltzer driver on the floor, though. Angelico surprised Matt with a cradle, but the Bucks caught him with a thrust kick, BTE trigger, and the Bucks pick up the victory here against TH2. After the match, the Acclaimed tried to attack the Young Bucks, but SCU's Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels would end up making the save. So a fun tag team match to open up tonight's AEW Dynamite. Damn, should have grabbed me another drink. Almost out. So MJF cut a promo on Orange Cassidy, called him an embarrassment, and said he's going to bash his brains in tonight. Remember those two fighting for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. A video played where Darby Allin was taking a rickshaw test. I think that's what it's called. Rorschach test, something like that. In one ink blot, he saw Brian Cage, the number one contender to the TNT Championship, and that's something we didn't know. So that was something that they informed us of tonight, that Cage is the number one contender. I didn't know that. We didn't know that. They never announced that, because as long as you're in the top 5, I guess, in AEW, you can get a title shot. Doesn't matter if you're ranked 1 or ranked 5, because as we've seen before with the women's division, you can be ranked 3rd and get a title shot. Actually, no, you can be ranked 5th. Anna Jay was ranked 5th when she got her title shot. Another ink blot was shown, and it was clearly Sting, but Alan just laughed. So next up, Cody and Arn came out. They were out there with Tony Schiavone.
I'm not sure about that.
They're out there with Tony Schiavone. They mentioned Sting, and then out came Sting. They still did the snow effect with the bubbles, because that's all it is bubbles. So I guess that's part of Sting's entrance, the snow. Sting said that he wasn't here for Cody, and he said that something about this place just seems so familiar. He pointed to Darby Allin looking over him high above the crowd. Sting said that things have come full circle, and he's back on TNT. Sting said he plans on staying with AEW for a long time as he signed a contract with the company. He told Cody that he'd see him around, and walked off. Sting basically said nothing here. He came in, said, "Ooh, feels good to be back on TNT. Ooh, something here feels familiar. I signed a contract. I'm sticking around for a while." That was it. That was it. He literally said nothing of note, just like Kenny Omega does later on tonight. So I'm like, really? He came out here and that was it? Sorry about that. My phone went off. Let me turn that ringer off just in case I get another call, because I might, from who it was. Probably going to try and call me 2 or 3 times until I answer. So let's turn that off. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. But yeah, Sting comes out here, says nothing of note, and I'm like, okay. Your big hook for the show was Sting. And what did Sting say? Nothing we already didn't know. So all of a sudden, Team Taz is on the screen. It's Taz, it's Hobbs, it's Cage, it's Starks, and Hook. Taz mocked the Sting segment. Ricky Starks pointed out that Taz's son Hook has left Cody's tutelage and joined their dojo, and is now training with Team Taz. Cool. Next up, we had FTR versus the Varsity Blondes. Griff Garrison. Give me 1 second, guys. Now my phone's getting blown up. There we go. So the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. So this was actually FTR's first match since they lost the titles at Full Gear. I think Pillman and Garrison together is not a bad idea. They're both guys that's going to be, they've got potential. And putting them together, not only are they going to learn from the great tag teams in AEW, but they can learn from each other. Even though they're both young in their careers, they can learn together. One guy may learn something before the other guy, teach it to him, blah, blah, blah. I think this is a good pairing from 2 guys that have a lot of potential. So FTR isolated Pillman right away until Pillman fought back with drop kicks. This allowed him to reach Garrison for the tag. After a cover attempt, Pillman tagged back in, but missed a springboard shoulder tackle. FTR regained control and went to the break. After the break, Tully landed a cheap shot on Pillman with the official distracted. Springboard shoulder block bought Pillman enough time to reach Garrison for a hot tag. Garrison downed both members of FTR with strikes before hitting a series of corner splashes and a double spear. Got a 2 off of it. Harwood, though, fought out of a suplex and Pillman tagged in. He was met with a brainbuster. They then hit the Goodnight Express and picked up the victory. So no surprise here. FTR does win the match. Then they have a little altercation with Jurassic Express afterwards, setting up a future match with that team. Next up, Hangman Page is being interviewed by Alex Marvez. Page said that he's scheduled for a 6-man tag match against Matt Hardy and Private Party next week, but needs to find partners. John Silver and Alex Reynolds would then all of a sudden appear from behind the bar. Page said, "You're not going to be my partners." And Reynolds literally said, "If not us, who?" And Hangman pondered that and goes, Okay. I'll team with you next week, but it doesn't mean I'm joining the Dark Order, and I ain't doing your stupid this thing." They're like, "Hey, we did it. Okay, cool. Yeah, Hangman." They were excited. So, going forward, we had Dustin Rhodes versus 10 of the Dark Order. So Dustin laid in some strikes right away. They brawled on the floor and exchanged big moves, but Dustin was driven into the barricade. Back in the ring, 10 flattened Dustin with a spine buster and did a Dark Order pose. 10 sent Dustin to the outside and landed a pump kick on Aaron Solo, who was watching at ringside. Back inside the ring, Dustin hit a series of clotheslines and bit 10's face. A running bulldog kind of came next. Kind of out of nowhere, he just pins him. Like, he hits the bulldog and then pins him. And I'm like, what? That made no sense. That was your finish? Just a random bulldog? Okay. So Dark Order would appear, and Evil Uno spoke. And he said, "Hey, I know that it's tough being a Rhodes. You're like a 5th generation superstar. You're the 3rd most important person in your family here. How about you join the Dark Order and take your rightful place as 7. Now, some people may not get that. They may not get that reference. Your rightful place as 7. Well, if you don't remember, Dustin Rhodes, he started his gimmick as the natural Dustin Rhodes in the early 90s in WCW. Then he went to WWF and was Goldust. But there was a period of time when he went back to WCW. He wore all black, had like this, I don't remember if it was face paint or just a ski mask deal over his face that was all white. I believe it was face paint. It was face paint. All white. He wore a black, wide-brimmed hat and called himself 7. So that is where this comes from. Your rightful place as 7. Because when he was in WCW the second time, it was under the name 7. Dustin acted as if he was about to do the Dark Order pose, but slapped Uno down. The rest of Dark Order wanted to fight, but Uno talked him out of it. And then Uno said eventually Dustin would come begging for his rightful spot. So an interesting little promo here with a nice callback that I don't know if many would have caught or understood. Because when he was 7 in WCW, and I'm going to look this up really fast, it wasn't that long. Dustin Rhodes. Let's see. Dustin Rhodes 7. It was literally for like less than 2 years. It was like 99 to 2001. It was November of 99 till January of 2001. So really it was only about a year. Well, March of 2001 when WCW ended up buying, or WWF bought WCW. So like to be honest, he was only 7 for 12, 13, less than 15 months. We then got the Shaquille O'Neal interview. Brandy Rhodes was there for some god-awful reason, because Brandy got to be involved in shit. Shaq and Brandy sat down with Tony Schiavone. Shaq said he respected Jade Cargill, but he didn't appreciate what she did to Brandy's arm. Brandy said that she wants the problem resolved. Shaq said that him coming at Cody on Twitter was just him being Shaq and joking around. But he's excited to see what could happen if Brandy and Jade Cargill get into a fight. As Brandy was about to walk away, Shaq then said that Brandy could learn a thing or two from Jade. Brandy got very upset by that comment. I forget the exact line she said. She made some stupid comment to him and then threw water in his face. And I'm like, who's the heel and who's the babyface here? Is it Shaq as the heel? Is it Brandy as the heel? Because Shaq was just being Shaq, everybody's beloved big guy. But Brandy was getting way too over offensive. So, I don't know. I really don't know. Half Nuts Comedy in the chat says he was only 7 for one show. Really? I could have sworn he was 7 for way longer. Wait. Now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, so what I'm thinking is they aired a bunch of vignettes leading up. And then he came out as 7. And TNT didn't like the gimmick. And didn't. Now I'm remembering this. TNT didn't like the gimmick and what it stood for. Because he was supposed to be a quote-unquote child abductor and asked him to change. That's right. I think that's what it was now. Let me know in the chat if I'm right. I think that's what it was. So he wasn't 7 for that long. That's right. I remember there's vignettes. And then, okay, so it was only one show. Now what I'm seeing you guys say in the chat. Okay. That makes more sense. Because I was like, when I looked on his Wikipedia and it said he was in WCW for that second run for about a year, I was like, but he wasn't 7 that long, was he? And now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it was TNT didn't like the gimmick. That's right. Okay, that makes more sense now that I'm remembering. I didn't watch much WCW back then, so I started as a WWF kid, and really, honestly, I think before WWF bought WCW, I'd maybe only watched it 2 or 3 times. So from what I remember of WCW stuff, it's stuff that I've gone back and watched and heard about. So, yeah. Inner Circle had their ultimatum next. Inner Circle minus Santana, who was not there. Jericho said that this could be the last night of the Inner Circle. He's tired of everyone acting like, what did he call them? Little punks. He had another word, but I can't remember exactly what it was. He talked about how Hager doesn't like Wardlow, Guevara doesn't like MJF, and mentioned that Santana wasn't there. MJF said that he thinks he might be the issue because people think that MJF wants to either break up or take over the Inner Circle. He started to patronize Sammy Guevara, but Guevara wasn't having it. Jericho joked that everyone watches Dynamite, so everyone saw what happened with MJF in the towel last week, and MJF goes, whoa, or a sweat on my brow, I had to wipe it off. Ortiz spoke. He said that Santana told him, and he agrees with Santana, that MJF and Wardlow could be assets to the team. He doesn't like who they are as humans, but who they are as competitors can help them out. He then told MJF and Sammy, be the bigger person, be a bigger man, shake. He asked Sammy, shake his hand, be the bigger man. He then said that Guevara's the better man, and you know it. And MJF looks at him like, oh, that's my line. That's my line. Never mind. I'm not going to get into that can of worms. So Guevara said that he trusts Jericho with every decision that he makes, and if Jericho thinks this is the right choice, he'll shake MJF's hand. But just know, if one more thing happens, he will quit the Inner Circle. With their problems resolved, Hager starts speaking and goes, hey, whoa, I got a problem. Why does this guy keep staring at me? And then Wardlow speaks, I think maybe for the first time on Dynamite. And he says, I stare at you because you stare at me. Jericho's about to close the segment, saying, hey, let's just not stare at anybody. But then MJF interrupted him to promote his main event tonight against Orange Cassidy. Jericho told them off for cutting him off, and then they all posed, not doing like a fist bump, but a middle finger. Cool, you're edgy because you flip people off. I thought the segment was all right. Nothing great to call home about and be like, oh my God, that was such a cool ass segment. It was like most of tonight's show. It was good, but it was just good, not anything better than good. So next up, we had a 6-man tag. Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade against Lance Archer, Penta El Cerro Miedo, and Rey Fenix. So got a little bit of a news ski here that I don't know if anybody else is reported yet. The reason we had Lance Archer here and not Pac is because Pac's already gone back home. Pac is not going to be doing extended long stays in the United States. He's going to do short stays for Dynamite shows and then go back home for a little while. And then come back for a couple of weeks and then go back home. That way he's not home or away from home very, very long. And they wanted to get him back now so that way he can do the whole, I got to quarantine and all that stuff before the Christmas time does come and everything. So I don't know exactly how that quarantine works. I don't know if they don't even let him go home and if they make him quarantine. So I don't know. But all I was told today was he had to be home no later than this week. Or last week, I think it was. No later than last week. To be home and quarantine and all that in time for Christmas. So yeah. Since this show was filmed last week, he wasn't there last week. So that's why they didn't get him on this week's show. But that's the whole rigmarole of Pac. He's not going to be in for like months at a time. He's not going to be on the show for like 4 or 5 weeks in a row. It's only going to be a couple of weeks in a row. Then he's going to go back home for a little while and then come back and on and off again. He's going to be on and off again. So Archer attacked everybody to start this match off with the crossbody where he jumped right over the top rope. This led to a big brawl between all 6 men. Butcher put Penta through a table at ringside. And with Archer and Kingston alone in the ring, the bell rang to begin the match. Butcher leveled Phoenix with a running crossbody as Penta was tended to by officials. Turning this into a de facto handicap match, the family isolated Phoenix on their side of the ring. Bunny attacked Phoenix while Blade distracted the official. Phoenix escaped Kingston's attack with a handspring cutter and reached Archer for a hot tag. Archer leveled Butcher and Blade with a crossbody block and a diving crossbody heading into the break. Butcher and Blade took the advantage during the break when Kingston knocked Archer down from the rope walk spot. Penta was taken to the back, out of the match. Jake Roberts. I wrote it as Roberts, and for some reason I said Justin. Jake Roberts grabbed Blade's leg, giving Archer an opening to tag Phoenix. He immediately attacked with a springboard dive, and holy crap. When Phoenix hit this dive, his head bounced off the floor so hard. So hard. Phoenix took out Butcher and Kingston with an arm drag head scissor combination, then took a nasty landing off of a dive. Oh, it was the second dive. Okay, that's second dive to Kingston, or his head bounced hard. Butcher and Blade hit a powerbomb neckbreaker combination on Phoenix to win the match. Archer attacked Kingston, Butcher, and Blade afterwards. He tried to hit the blackout on Blade, but Butcher pulled him down, and the family escaped. Fun match, I'll say that for sure. Don't know why they had to take Pentagon out so early. Like, Pentagon did nothing in this match, so I hope he's not injured, and they just had him there, got him out, and I haven't heard anything, but that's very concerning that he didn't work the match at all. So in the back, all of a sudden, they go, there's a commotion. There's a brawl going on in the back. And it's Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill beaten down. I think it was Red Velvet. Yeah, Red Velvet. So they're beating down Red Velvet. Big Swole and Serena Deeb run in. And fucking Excalibur calls her the Great Serena Deeb. The Great Serena Deeb? Okay, that's a long shot. We then saw Ivelisse and Diamante run in, and officials had to break this all up. Big old coagulated mess, to be completely honest. I don't know who was supposed to be with who and what was supposed to be fucking going on, other than Jade and Nyla were beating down fucking Red Velvet at the start. So I think maybe Ivelisse and Diamante are the heels with Vicky's girls, because I think Jade is now a Vicky Guerrero girl, I guess. I don't know. Next up, we had Abadon in action against Tessa Price. Abadon leveled Price with a clothesline right away. Price tried a forearm, but it had no effect on Abadon. She bludgeoned Price in the corner. She downed Price with an STO and followed up with a gory special neckbreaker to pick up the victory. After the match, Abadon continued assaulting until Hikaru Shida came out with a kendo stick. Shida smacked Abadon over the head, just cracked her an ECW shot. And she went and grabbed Tessa Price to get her out of the ring when Abadon Undertaker sit up. No sold it, basically. Shida and Price then run out of there. And again, Shida a little bit scared of Abadon. I don't like it when you're... the champion should not be scared of somebody else. They should be, I could say, apprehensive and be concerned because that other person may be a formidable foe and competitor, but you shouldn't have your champion scared running away like that. It's the second week in a row we've seen it where Hikaru Shida is basically supposed to be spooked and scared of Abadon. So next up, Dasha interviews the Inner Circle. Jericho said that everyone is on the same page now and announced that the group would join MJF and Wardlow at ringside for the main event tonight. He said he'd guarantee MJF comes out victorious. So then in a segment where nothing fucking happened, Kenny Omega and Don Callis arrive in a helicopter. That's his big Lex Luger moment, because if you remember, I forget what year it was, but Lex Luger showed up at a show in a helicopter to slam Yokozuna. So Alex Marvez tried to get a word from Kenny Omega and Don Callis when they were just like, hey, which way inside the building? Okay, yeah, Marvez, watch us. We're going to the ring. You'll get your scoop there. So Omega came out with his full cleaner entrance or whatever you want to call this. They even did the... Here's my fucking thing. What is this North Carolina bullshit? Justin Roberts says it in every Kenny Omega entrance. North Carolina! What is it? What's North Carolina? It's not like Don's from North Carolina or anything. It's not like Impact is in North Carolina. What the fuck is North Carolina? Kenny lives in Florida now. I don't know. Anyways, they come down to the ring. Shivani was in there all ready to go. He said that he'd never been more disgusted ever in professional wrestling than he was last week with what Don Callis and Kenny Omega did. Callis said, well, yeah, everybody's upset, including Tony Khan. He said, Khan, welcome to the wrestling business. Callis said that their scheme took years of planning, but it came to fruition. He essentially continued to cut the same promo that he cut last night on Impact. He said that everyone is comparing this to the Montreal Screwjob and how we screwed Jon Moxley, but to be honest, this is bigger than the Montreal Screwjob. He discussed how Omega's been so famous, how he made Omega even more famous than he already was with booking the match against Jericho at the Tokyo Dome. He then introduced our world champion, Kenny Omega. Kenny said less tonight than he said last night on Dynamite, to be completely honest. Omega said that he didn't beg Khan to hire his friends and family like some others in the company did, but he waited till it was time to bring in his man. He called his match with Moxley a 7-star classic and also called it fine art, saying that everyone watching fell for it, even Jon Moxley. He said that Jon Moxley is the real deal, but he doesn't have Omega's cunning. He said, yeah, I may have hit him with a microphone, but that's not even it. Nobody kicks out of the one-winged angel, not even Jon Moxley. He was about to make his big announcement when Callis goes, whoa, Kenny. You know what? They're not ready for it. The people aren't ready. He said Omega doesn't just make money, he makes history. Omega concluded with his good night, goodbye, his signature close that he hasn't ever done on AEW television, I don't think. And then they left. While both guys were great in the segment itself wasn't great because it was, I felt, a lesser segment than what they did on Impact last night. At least on Impact, Kenny told us that he's got a goal. And he's got a goal of winning belts, collecting belts, adding more to his repertoire. Adding more to his collection, I mean. So that is when I'm like, okay, he told us what he wants to do. He wants to now go for the Impact title. He wants to have multiple championships. He wants to be a belt collector. Tonight on Impact, or on Dynamite, to me, all he really said was, I'm your world champion. We screwed Moxley. Ha ha ha. He said more on Impact than he did tonight on Dynamite, to be 100% completely honest. Like I said, both men were great in their performance, but the segment itself and how it was laid out and what it wasn't great. So then they announced some matches for next week. Cody Rhodes will be taking on Angelico. Hangman Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds will take on Matt Hardy and Private Party. SCU will face the Acclaimed. And Serena Deeb and Big Swole will take on Ivelisse and Diamante. Actually, there's one more match that was announced, but I got to talk about that at the end. Additionally, they announced that on December 23rd, we will be getting the AEW Holiday Bash. Excuse me one second. My daughter's got a bloody nose. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. My daughter walked up and she's just like, and she got blood on her hand and under her nose. Don't know what happened. She just randomly got a bloody nose. My son's going to help her fix all that. Anyways, December 23rd, Dynamite Holiday Bash. Also, if you hear them in the background, that's what's going on. Dynamite Holiday Bash. They said that the show is going to start roughly around 10 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 2 hours later than it normally starts, but if the basketball game and all that stuff wraps up earlier than expected, Dynamite can start earlier. So to be honest, they're shooting for 10, could start earlier, so just keep your eyes out on the 23rd. On December 30th will be night 1 of New Year's Smash. Jericho will be on commentary. January 6th will be night 2 of New Year's Smash, and well, they got Snoop Dogg coming on that show. I assume that's just all to promote the Big Show or whatever that's called. Not the Big Show. Go Big Show? Go Big Show. That's what it's called. Go Big Show. Big Show show's on Netflix, which unfortunately they canceled after 1 season. So with that, we move into our main event. It was the Dynamite Diamond Ring match, MJF versus Orange Cassidy. This match was nothing more than a bunch of shenanigans with a shitty finish to the show. MJF attacks Cassidy early to get his shirt off and snap Cassidy's sunglasses. He beat Cassidy down with suplexes before choking him with his shirt. Cassidy turned another suplex attempt into a stunner before they moved to the apron. Cassidy went for the orange punch, but MJF evaded it and Cassidy punched the ring post. On the floor, MJF powerbombed Cassidy on the corner of the ring and tried to bait Trent into attacking him. He continued the focused attack on Cassidy's right hand. Back in the ring, Cassidy tripped MJF into the turnbuckle, but was caught off with a flatliner and a back elbow for a 2. During a break, the Varsity Blondes, Top Flight, and Brandon Cutler would all make their way down to the ring, kind of to help out against the Inner Circle who got involved earlier. Just randomly turned this match to a lumberjack match. At one point, Cassidy sent MJF to the floor and landed his hands-in-pocket tope suicida. He followed it with a tilt-a-whirl DDT and a diving DDT for a near fall. MJF dodged a right hand and landed one of his own. He followed this with a diving stomp on Cassidy's arm. Cradle on Cassidy got a 2. MJF then hit a shoulder breaker and a powerbomb for a 2 of his own. He went for the heat seeker, but Cassidy backdropped him outside and landed a springboard flipping senton. Jericho acted like he'd attacked with the bat, so Cassidy fled. At one point, Cassidy was surprised in the ring by a heat seeker from MJF. MJF put his feet on the ropes, went for the pin. Referee started counting. Best friends jump up and go, his feet are on the ropes, his feet are on the ropes, his feet are on the ropes. So the ref stops. MJF then grabbed the bat and acted like Orange Cassidy hit him with the bat, but the ref never turned around. He then stood up with the bat. Orange Cassidy took the bat. No. Orange had the bat. He then threw it to MJF. He laid down. Ref thought they overcomplicated this spot. way too much. It's the Eddie Guerrero spot, but they tried to do it way too complicated. MJF tried to make it look like Orange Cassidy hit him with the bat. Then when the ref wouldn't turn around, MJF got annoyed. Then Orange Cassidy made it look like MJF hit him with the bat. MJF was accused, blah, 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 yeah. Well, MJF was arguing with the official. Cassidy hit the beach break for a close near fall. MJF went for the salt of the earth, but it was fought out of. So MJF snapped Cassidy's fingers. Cassidy hit the orange punch for another close near fall. A second orange punch would have won, but Wardlow put MJF's legs on the ropes. This led to a big brawl between about a dozen different guys at ringside. Miro then all of a sudden took advantage with carnage by running down with Kip Sabian and leveling Cassidy with a lariat. MJF then crawled over, covered Orange Cassidy, retained the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So then Miro just goes crazy. Security come down. Miro throws one guy off the stage. Miro bumps a bunch of other guys that aren't wrestlers. And Miro and Sabian stand tall at the end of the show. My first thought was, so that match was for nothing? I get it was for the Diamond Ring, but when the end of the match and the focal point at the very end of the show is on Miro and not MJF for retaining the ring, that match to me meant diddly fucking squat. Diddly squat. Nothing. Who the fuck is going to care about that diamond ring? I mean, we're not supposed to really care about the diamond ring anyways, but who really cares next year when that diamond ring's on the line? I won't, because we learned tonight that diamond ring don't mean shit. When you have other guys coming out, taking the attention off of this important match, fuck the important match, because the show should have ended with MJF going, I still got the ring. Barely beat Orange Cassidy. Cool. Doesn't matter how he beat Orange Cassidy. He still won. That last shot should have been of MJF with that ring, not of Miro. I get it. You want to put Miro over big. Cool. That was not the time to do it. That was not the right spot. That was MJF's spot, retaining the ring, and you flubbed it all up. And now, who cares about the ring? I don't. Do you? Let me know. But with that, guys, that was AEW Dynamite. Our poll here on Twitch says that 71% of you liked it, 14% thought it was all right, and 14% didn't like it. As we move to NXT, let's throw up an NXT poll. New poll. What did you think of tonight's NXT? I liked it. It was all right. I didn't like it. All right, NXT. I wouldn't say it was a better show. I wouldn't say it was a worse show. I would say it was just as good as tonight's Dynamite. But here's the thing. I'm going to say it right now. I bet so many people switched off of NXT at that main event. Because the main event of NXT was Ember Moon versus Raquel Gonzalez up against MJF and Orange Cassidy. If you've got those two matches on paper, which one are you going to say, that's the match I'm going to watch? It's going to be MJF and Orange Cassidy. Because there were supposedly stakes on the line with a diamond ring. Plus, it's Orange Cassidy and MJF, two proven draws for AEW. So, in that regard, I do expect to see a lot. If we get the breakdown of the ratings later this week in the Observer, I do expect to see a big shift there towards the end. Give me 2 seconds. Check this. 39. Okay. Just need to write a number down. Awesome. All right. So, and NXT kicks off with the Prince, the NXT champion, Finn Balor. He opened up the show wearing a cool leather jacket, street clothes. He had the NXT championship draped over his shoulder. Fucker looks like a superstar. Said War Games is done, and Balor declared that the champ is back. Didn't say if he was cleared to compete, though, is the thing. I believe he said that he'll be good to go by the 6th at the latest. Because I believe in his promo he said, I'll be able to defend my title or whatever. And I'll talk about this more as we get to the end of the segment. But I believe he said that he'll be defending his title on the 6th. Regal will pick who that's against. So he said some people love him and some people hate him. But if you want to know him, then come see him in the ring. He said, if there's anybody in the back that wants to challenge me, come on out. Cue Pete Dunne. And I go, Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor. Take my money now. Dunne glared at Balor as he walked down to the ring. Dunne confronted Balor inside the squared circle. Dunne said that he and Balor are cut from the same cloth. He came from overseas and made a name for himself just like Balor did. Dunne said that it was about time they stand face to face, and he was glad Balor is back. When Dunne vowed to take the NXT Championship from Balor, out would come Kyle O'Reilly to interrupt. He sarcastically addressed Dunne as Peter Pumpkin Eater. O'Reilly bragged about Undisputed Era winning at War Games. Then he shifted his focus to the champion. O'Reilly reminded Balor who broke his jaw. O'Reilly said that they have unfinished business. And then out would come Damian Priest. And this made no sense. Why the fuck is Damian Priest coming out here? I guess you could say the same thing for Pete Dunne. What has Pete Dunne done? Priest confronted Balor, and he challenged Balor. Dunne stepped up and said, Aren't you the geezer who couldn't even beat Leon Ruff? Priest bickered with Dunne, and O'Reilly started to bicker too. Priest said something to Dunne about losing, and then Dunne said, Why don't you go visit your friend Bobby in the hospital? And Kyle O'Reilly goes, Why don't you? And he does like a fake, British accent making fun of Pete Dunne, saying the same thing. It was funny. But it's like three guys that want to challenge for the title, and they all called each other losers, though. That didn't get nobody over. They called each other losers, and they got not one guy over. Balor then quietly walks out of the ring, and Priest goes, Whoa, champ, where are you going? And he goes, Hey, I'm going to defend this title on January 6th. I'll let Regal decide who it's against. As Balor was getting ready to leave, lights started to flicker, and the music of Karrion Kross would appear, would play. Scarlett would come out and confront the Prince. She said Balor said he had a message for Kross. And Balor said, and I quote, When he is ready, Finn's ready. Balor, exit stage left. The other guys in the ring, Damian Priest referred to Scarlett as the smoke show. He said, Hey, smoke show. You come out here and do everything while he sits in the car and waits. She didn't say a word and just smiled. Because Priest going to get it coming. So Pete Dunne was interviewed during the commercial break when all of a sudden Killian Dain would attack him out of nowhere to have a little pull-apart brawl. We then get Jake Atlas against Isaiah Swerve Scott. Lots of unique offense here. This match was actually kind of fun. Scott was in control throughout most of the match, although Atlas fought back and kept trying to counter a lot of the moves. Scott went for a magistral cradle, but Atlas countered with a crucifix to score the pinfall victory, kind of out of nowhere. Scott glared a hole through Jake Atlas as Atlas offered a handshake. No code of honor as Scott stormed out of the ring. Basically said, you beat me. Why don't I want to shake your hand? Tommaso Ciampa then cut a promo on Cameron Grimes, who he will be facing later on tonight. Grizzly Young Vets took on Everrise and Imperium in a triple threat tag team match. Grizzly Young Vets and Imperium settled into the match early on. There was supposed to be one person from all three teams, but Everrise were laid out on the floor. Basically didn't do anything. But we thought they weren't doing anything. They were really just playing possum, and it did not matter, as they still got kicked off the apron. They were down again on the floor as the match continued. Everrise eventually rushed back in to take over some offense, and when the two other teams were down. There was chaos for a few moments. Lots of happened in a short span of time. Archer with a picture-perfect moonsault. Gibson splats on the floor. Imperium executed a finisher on Drake, but Everrise jumped in trying to steal the win. Parker then got a near fall on Drake. The Yorzo Young Veterans with the ticket to mayhem on Parker, and Drake covered him for the victory. So GYV, Grizzled Young Vets, do pick up the victory here. A video then played highlighting the brutality of War Games in both the men's and the women's matches. I think it was Candice said they put every life and limb on the line, showed her broken wrist. And Shotzi literally goes, you know, we went out there to War Games and we took care of business. Bitch, you lost. Took care of business. You lost. Business my ass. So, Toni Storm's being interviewed backstage. And she was asked why she had turned on Ember Moon. She said, Ember stole my moment. I came back to TakeOver to challenge the champion, and then all of a sudden out comes Ember Moon. No, that ain't going to happen. She said, my goal right now is to go after that championship. Go after that woman's title. And Io Shirai would appear. Shirai said that she's got one problem, and it's this title and having to defend it. Then, Shirai smacked her in the face, and a brawl ensued. Storm and Shirai brawled all the way into the main arena. They took the fight into the ring. Storm tried to flee the ring, but out came Ember Moon. Ember would attack Toni Storm. Moon wanted some payback, but for now she settled with rolling Storm back into the ring, sending her to Io, and Io hit her with a moonsault. Cool. We got a challenger. I thought the challenger would be Raquel, and they'd build that up, but no, they built up Toni Storm as possibly the next challenger. So next up, Tommaso Ciampa against Cameron Grimes. Ciampa pinned Grimes just flat in the middle of the ring. Ciampa was getting the better of Grimes, and when Timothy Thatcher would come out, so this bullshit's not over, which I take that back. I don't call it bullshit, because their match was phenomenal. Their match was great. When I watched their match the first time, I was like, oh, that was cool, but I watched it again, because I got bored on Sunday night, and watched Monday night, and watched TakeOver again. And when I saw Thatcher and Ciampa for the second time, I was like, whoa, these guys are actually hitting each other harder than I remembered and thought the first time. And so, I wouldn't mind seeing their match again. But Grimes tried to fight back here with Thatcher causing a slight distraction sitting in the aisleway. But didn't really do much here. He tried to fight back, and Ciampa just evaded it. Ciampa, after a commercial break, made a comeback. He hit Grimes with a bunch of lariats, and Grimes was on rubber legs. Grimes still managed to kick out of a near fall, where he was soon rocked with some strikes. A running one-man Spanish fly netted Grimes a 2 count. They traded strikes until Grimes was shoved out of the ring. Tyler Rust ran in to kind of interfere, and Ciampa wrestled with him. Somehow, not a DQ. I have no earthly idea what the hell would happen there. Just anyone can run in and fight a guy in the match, and it's whatever? Okay. Grimes tried to capitalize here, but Ciampa craftily evaded and hit a Willow's Bell to pick up the victory. Ciampa and Thatcher then had a stare down afterwards. Ciampa walked backwards while leaving and glared at Timothy Thatcher. Grimes would then confront Thatcher. Grimes would yell at Timothy Thatcher. Thatcher turned to leave. Grimes wheeled him back, and Thatcher put Grimes in an ankle lock. Grimes screamed in pain. Cool. Next up, we got a very intense video package with Xia Li and Boa being trained and being brutalized. I don't know where they were, but they're being trained and brutalized and tortured. It looked like the roughest fight camp I've ever seen. They bled from the knuckles, they bled from their leg, they bled from their arms. Boa took kendo stick shots. And then, I think at the very end, you got a glimpse of her. She. Now, if you aren't subscribed to our Patreon, you may not have seen this news. But we reported today that she is going to be Karen Kwan, the former Karen Q. Back on October 20th, WWE filed a trademark for the name Karen Kwan, and that is what we have been told, the new name of Karen Q, who will be this she that I guess you could say Boa and Xia Li are afraid of. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know why anyone's going to take this seriously if it's Karen Q, because she's never been known to be some badass bitch. And you've got to have someone that's a badass bitch to, what's the word I'm looking for? Be someone that they really want to be scared of and have to impress. And I don't think Karen Q is going to work here, because no one's going to take her seriously in this role if the role is what we think it's supposed to be. Just saying it. I hope it's not Karen Q, but that's what we have been told. Next up, we had Celebration of sorts from the Gargano family. NXT North American Champion Johnny Gargano marched down to the ring along with his wife, and who here calling his 2 kids, Indy Hartwell and Austin Theory. Gargano said for months, they were going to show you the way, and now you're looking at it, Gargano declared as he pointed at all 4 of them. The faction now appears to be called The Way. Theory exclaimed, Milky Way. That's supposed to be a funny line, I guess. I don't know. Gargano continued to brag about himself. He then bragged about his wife. He said that she was a great leader and a great captain. Gargano shouted at the crowd, telling them to shut up. Gargano has a surprise for Candice. He had it shipped overnight from Italy. This was a total comedy spot. It was a trophy with a doll, I guess you could say, glued to the top of it. It was tacky and hokey. And had green hair, so it was supposed to represent her defeating Shotzi, I guess. I thought Johnny and Candice were great in their performance here when Damian Priest would interrupt. He was headed down to the ring when all of a sudden he was blindsided and attacked by Karrion Kross. Kross beat him down and powerbombed him through, I guess you could say, a table at the top of the ramp. Karrion Kross then left the building. Cameras followed as we saw him get into his car with Scarlett and drive off. Next up, Malcolm Bivens approached the new Tyler Rust, asking if he needed a manager. Hey, any way to get Malcolm Bivens on this show, kudos. I love me some Malcolm Bivens. Also, remember, guys, if you want to be part of tonight's show, you can do so by texting in to 510-906-1341. As we got Pete Dunne and Killian Dain in a match that I felt went way too long. This match felt like it was never going to end. So Dunn was cleaning house. Dain was cleaning house on Dunn from the start. Dunn pummeled him until Dain pummeled him. Wow, that's going to confuse me. Dain pummeled him until Dunn caught him with a kick. Dunn continued to fight back, and Dain was posted after headbutting the ring post. Dunn began to work over Dain. Nevertheless, Dain soon made a comeback with an overhead belly-to-belly suplex and threw Dunn across the ring. Dunn cut him again as he targeted his fingers. After a commercial break, Dunn was back in control. He grounded Dain on the mat. Dain soon made a comeback as he flattened Dunn with some sentons, and then he powerbombed him for a 2. Dain was going for some sort of a powerbomb, but Dunn tried to counter into a triangle choke. Dain, with a deadlift powerbomb, broke the hold. Dain nailed him with a shotgun dropkick. He went to follow it up with a senton into the corner. Dunn moved, and Dain crashed into the corner. Dain moments later went for a super fisherman's buster off the top rope. Dunn was turned inside out with a lariat. Dain was setting up for a Vader bomb when Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan would run down to ringside. Drake Maverick would run down and try to make the save, swinging a chair as he chased both Burch and Lorcan off. He turned around and, well, he was proud of himself for what he had done. Then Lorcan and Burch attacked him from behind. They beat down Maverick, and Dain went outside of the ring to make the save on his partner. Burch and Lorcan fled, but the distraction allowed Dunn to hit Dain with a cheap shot. Dunn then executed the bitter end and covered Dain to pick up the victory. There we go. So, with Priest now out of his match next following the attack on him, Leon Ruff needed a new tag partner for next week. Gargano taunted him, saying that he would have to face Gargano and Theory all by himself in a handicap match when Kushida would enter the scene and volunteer to team with Leon Ruff. So, next week we are getting Gargano and Theory versus Ruff and Kushida. That match should be fun. We then move on to our main event. It was Raquel Gonzalez against Ember Moon. There's a lot of cat and mouse here. Big woman, little woman. The little woman's quicker. The big woman's faster, or stronger. Ember gets ragdolled a little early on. Gonzalez dashed a hope spot, and the onslaught continued with Gonzalez on the offense. Moon started a comeback with a series of drop kicks. Those only dropped Gonzalez a little bit down to her knee, but then Moon flattened her with a drop. Moon flattened her and dropped her onto the mat. Moon speared Gonzalez off the apron before the show cut to a commercial. When he came back, Gonzalez cut off Moon during the break. After the break, Gonzalez then had Moon trapped in a gory special. Moon with the head scissor countered it, though, and sent Gonzalez crashing into the turnbuckle. After starting a comeback, Moon let out a scream before she did a cartwheel into a clothesline. Excuse me. Moon with a tilt-a-whirl into a tornado DDT here. Moon then sailed through the ropes with the tope suicida. She climbed part of the lighting rig at ringside. She was going for a splash on Gonzalez, but Gonzalez caught her in midair. She then posted Moon with snake eyes, but somehow Moon managed to kick out. Gonzalez posted herself moments later, and Moon rocked her with some kicks. Moon climbed the turnbuckle and went for the eclipse. Gonzalez countered it again, where she knocked Moon out of the air with the Western Lariat. Moon then got a near fall as she countered a roll-up. Gonzalez kicked out. Gonzalez then used a modified powerbomb and defeated Ember Moon. So after the match, Toni Storm would come down to confront Ember Moon. She stood over Moon. She went to possibly attack her when Rhea Ripley would come out to make the save. Rhea Ripley got into the ring. Gonzalez and Toni Storm fled. Gonzalez and Rhea had a stare down, and Rhea said, "Hey, you and I, this isn't over." So we're going to get more Gonzalez and Rhea Ripley. Pizza King in the chat says, any question why Dakota Kai and Blackheart weren't on the show? No real reason. I mean, there was a lot of people that weren't on this show. No Bobby Fish. I didn't see Adam Cole. I didn't see Roderick Strong other than in the video package. So, I mean, they weren't needed for what was going down tonight, so they weren't used. Plain and simple. But with that, guys, I'm going to read your text messages like I stated. Could be part of the show. Text into 510. It's right there. 510-906-1341. First text message here. We only have a couple. Do you, the Dark Order... All right, I'm going to read this how it's written. Do you, the Dark Order, Rhodes segment foreshadowing Rhodes turning heel, joining Dark Order? I think he's asking if Dustin Rhodes is going to join the Dark Order. I don't think so. Possible, but I don't think so. Two questions here from this person. It says, who should challenge Johnny Gargano for the NXT title and defeat him for it? Possibly Kushida. That wouldn't be bad. They're kind of going to start building that. Kushida's been on a run, so he's gotten a number of victories. Also, this person says, if Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor for the NXT title is the next move, will Karrion Kross capture the title again at New Year's Evil? And how long should his title reign be held at? Well, he's going to hold that title for a while once he gets it, and I think he will get it back immediately because he was always the plan. The plan was always to put the title on Karrion Kross. Unfortunately, he got hurt. They didn't know how long he was going to be out, and there we go. So to be completely honest, I get why they took the title off of him because he missed 2 takeovers. But they could just put the title right back on him. No problem with that. So I think Karrion Kross gets the next title shot, possibly. He could go a different route and then go. They could do O'Reilly again and then go Karrion Kross and Finn after. And this same question here. Who do you think is going to challenge Finn? Like I said, I think O'Reilly should get that next challenge. Because you can get Here's the thing. I think it's O'Reilly because we know that an O'Reilly-Finn match is going to be phenomenal, as it was at TakeOver. And you put that on television on the 6th, possible good rating. Then you go into whatever your January or early February TakeOver is going to be, and that's when you do the Karrion Kross Finn Balor match. So, last question here. Why do you think Kenny Omega cut a better promo on Impact than he did tonight on Dynamite? Honestly, I have no fucking clue. If you're asking why I think his promo last night was better, because it was. If you're asking why it just wasn't better tonight, I don't know. Like, he was going to announce something, and then Callis goes, oh, they're not ready for this, Kenny. We'll wait. We'll let them wait. So, I have no godly idea. But with that, guys, that's going to wrap things up. Hot Rod Bubba in the chat predicted what I was going to say next. He said, hey, Tim, not a hell do you buy Cyberpunk 2077. I did buy Cyberpunk 2077, and I will be streaming Cyberpunk at some point tonight, probably within the next 45 minutes to hour. So, keep it locked right here. Pro Wrestling Unlimited, PW Unlimited, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, as here shortly, we will be streaming some Cyberpunk 2077. I haven't touched the game. I've been waiting for you guys so I can play it with you. So, I think that's going to be fun. Thank you for everyone joining us here on YouTube, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited. You can follow us on social media, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling ULTD. Follow us on Instagram by searching for Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and follow us on Twitter at PW Unlimited. Remember, I will be back, as I just stated, within the next hour or so, playing some Cyberpunk 2077 right here, PW Unlimited, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited. Unlimited. Next time we'll be back talking wrestling. We'll be on Friday for SmackDown. And Friday SmackDown is the first night inside the brand new Thunderdome in Tropicana Field. So with that, guys, have a great, great night. I'll see some of you guys later. Have a good one. All right, guys. I'll raid somebody. I wasn't going